friends, we have started with chapter number 1, the living world, in the previous session. In the previous session we have learned regarding what is a living organism, what is a life, and what are the different characteristics of a living organism. The living organism can grow, can reproduce, can do a metabolism or can perform a metabolism, and they can also sense the environment and response towards it. So these are the basic characteristics of a living organism, what the non-living organism cannot do. Okay, so this is what we have learned in the previous session. Today we have to learn the biodiversity and how this biodiversity are going to be named, or what are the rules for naming this biodiversity, that we are going to learn. Okay, now if you see surrounding to yourself, you can find the different kinds of a habitat as we have discussed in the previous session. You can find the oceans, you can find the desert, you can find the forest, you can find the plain plateaus, you can find the mountains, and these are the different habitats. In this habitat, you can find the different types of a living organism. You can find the insect, you can find the plants, you can find the animals, and there are lots of other kind of a living organism that exist surrounding to yourself. Okay, even there are also some living organism which you cannot observe through your naked eyes, but they still exist surrounding to yourself, like the microorganisms, bacteria, viruses, and the fungi. They also exist surrounding to yourself, but still you cannot observe through your naked eyes. So this is what going to happen. That means the ultimate point, it wants to say that in the world, in the earth, there are lots of different types of a living organism. They are going to be exist. And here in biology, we have to learn regarding this all different types of a living organism. Okay, so to learn this, we should know how they are going to be named. We should first of all we should know the name of that living organism. Okay, that we have to learn. You are surprised to hear that how much number of living organisms that exist. Okay, till now we have identified 1.7 million species to 1.8 million species in the world. Clear? These are the number of species they are already discovered. How many number of species? You have to remember that. Till they approximate 1.7 million to 1.8 million species of the living organism they have been identified. Like we are the one species, human. Okay, some mango plant, that is another species. Such we have identified 1.7 million to 1.8 million species. That means you know the meaning of 1 million. 1 million is equal to 10 lakhs. So 17 lakhs to 18 lakhs of a species have been identified till date. Okay. Now, apart from that, the another thing is that there is an estimate that this is the number of species which have been discovered. But still there are few species. Even if you go into an Amazon forest or there are certain locations, still we are discovering the new and new living organism. They are existing at that locations or surrounding to yourself. Okay, like if you see the current example, we have found one more new species of a virus, that is a coronavirus. This is the new species what we have discovered. So in the world, it has been estimated that how much species that exist. Okay, it is estimated that 5 million to 50 million species. This is exist in the world as a living organism. How much species they exist? It is an estimate. We have not discovered yet, but it is an estimate that 5 million to 50 million species that exist in the world. From this 5 to 50 million species, we have just identified 1.7 million to 1.8 million. Okay, so this is that it wants to say that the world is full of living organism and variety of living organism. This is the biodiversity. There is a diverse type of living organism that exists in the world. Okay, so this is a biodiversity of the world. Okay, so you have to remember these numbers. What is the estimate? How many number of species? The estimate is that 5 million to 50 million living species that exist in the world. From this 5 to 50 million species, how many species we have identified till date? Till date we have identified 1.7 million to 1.8 million of species that we have identified till date. Okay. Now the question comes, we have to learn this. We have to learn each and every species. So how we can learn this? For learning, we should know its name. Every species has to be given a name. Every species has to be given a name. Okay. But now there is a conflict in naming. Conflict in naming. Like I will tell you one example. See, take one example of a mango. This is a one species, mango. Okay, clear? Now this mango in the English it's called as a mango. In Hindi it's called as an aam. Clear? In Gujarati and આપણે કહીએ છીએ કેરી. So this is the same one. This is the same one. The living organism is the same one. The species is the same one. But they are named different. If you change the geographical locations, then the name of the same species are going to be changed. Kait jagah mango kehvati is, like in the English country it's called as a mango. In some Hindi states they are calling it as an aam. Gujarati mein keri kehvai jai. Even if you go to Maharashtra, they will in Marathi they will call some other name. If you go into South India, in the Tamil they are calling it some other name, and in the Malayalam they are going into some another name. Even the same mango can be called as another name in the French and the German, like mango. Okay, so this is what going to happen. In the French it's called as a mango. Okay, so this is the same species, the same living organism, but as the place change, okay, its name also going to be changed. I will give you one more example. Like suppose for the example, dog. I know the three languages, I am giving you the names only in three languages. But there are lots of other languages in which they are going to be named. Dog. Hindi માં આપણે તમે એને કુત્તા કહો અથવા ગુજરાતીમાં તમે એને કૂતરો. બરાબર? So this is the same species. But still, as the geographical location changes, they are going to be changed. And this creates a confusion. This creates a confusion. કોઈક જગ્યાએ ડોગ કહે, કોઈક જગ્યાએ કુત્તા કહે, અને કોઈક જગ્યાએ કૂતરો કહે, અને બીજી કોઈ જગ્યાએ કંઈક બીજું જ કહેતા હશે. So that is creating a lots of confusion. Hence, the scientific community, they have came together and they have decided there should be a uniform naming or name of a living organism. That should be accepted worldwide. Okay, so this is called as a nomenclature. Okay, there is a need is going to be arised where every living organism has been given a single name worldwide, and that should be accepted worldwide. There is a single name, and that name cannot be given to other living organism. Okay, so there is a need that is going to be arised. So the scientist community, they came together and they framed a certain rules and the principles for giving a name. Okay, and this is called as nomenclature. Okay, so the rules, they have been framed, and this, according to this rule, the names have been given. Okay, so what is a nomenclature? Nomenclature, that means that is giving a name, to a living organism. Okay, this is a simple one. Giving a name to a living organism, this is called as a nomenclature. But one cannot give a name on a random basis. Here the name is given, but based on agreed principles and the rules. Okay, based on agreed principle. Agreed, that means there is a mutual agreed principles. This is called as nomenclature. Every living organism, remember, every living organism have only one name which is accepted worldwide. There should be only one name that should be accepted worldwide. And this kind of a nomenclature, or giving a name, we are calling it as biological name. Okay, it's called as a biological name. Okay, this process is called as a nomenclature, a process of giving a name to a living organism based on the agreed principle. Okay, this is called as a nomenclature, and we are calling it as biological name of a living organism. Here, every living organism has only one name. That name cannot be given to any other living organism. Okay, that means there is a unique name, okay, unique name to a one living organism or one species. Okay, so this is called as nomenclature. Okay, now I have already told you that here the name is given, but that name is given based on certain rules, based on certain agreed principles. Okay, so who has decided this principle and who record this name? Like suppose someone has given you a name. Okay, like your name is, or my name is Akshay. Okay, so my name has been registered into a birth certificate. Okay, as a Akshay. Someone is noting down. There is some office, some registry which is making my name as a Akshay. Okay, they are noting down. Similarly, the name which are given, they are also based on certain principles and they are registered. Okay, so where they are registered? Listen, where they are registered. So the name of names of plants, they are registered by ICBN. The rules and the name, they are registered by the ICBN. What is an ICBN? ICBN means International, I for International, C for code, B for botanical, and N means a nomenclature. Okay, so the name or names of ICBN, that is based on the rules framed by ICBN. That is, ICBN full form is International Code for Botanical Nomenclature, ICBN. Okay, they register the names of plants. Similarly, the name of animals, they are registered by the another authority. This is called as ICZN. What is called as an ICZN? So, what is the ICZN? ICZN, that means International Code for Zoological Nomenclature. So what is the ICZN? ICZN means International Code for Zoological Nomenclature, ICZN. So the names of plants, they are registered by the ICBN, and the names of animals, they are registered by the ICZN. These are the authority which registered the name, and the name that is registered or given to a one species, that is valid throughout the world. Hence, a living organism has only one name, and that is a unique name accepted worldwide. So now there is no confusion. If you go into an America, that species is called the same name, like say human being. If you go into America, the human being is called as Homo sapiens. If you go into France, it is also called as Homo sapiens. Or if you come to India, the same thing is called as Homo sapiens. Otherwise, if you change the location, it's also going to be changed. Like for an example, in America it's called as human. France ma kek biju kehwatu hase. In India it's called as manav, something like this. Okay, so that's going to be changed. But to avoid the confusion, now they are given a single name. Like the biological name for human is Homo sapiens. This is the name of modern man. Okay, Homo sapiens is the name of a man, and the Homo sapiens is the name of a modern name. Okay, is it clear? So that's all about it. Okay, the nomenclature. Okay, who registered it? Now I have already told you that the name have been given, but the name is based on certain rules or agreed principles. Okay, so what are the rules? Who has developed these rules? That we are going to discuss. Okay, what are the rules? So who has framed this rule, or majority of the rule, or this kind of a system, this biological name. This biological naming system that was developed by a scientist. Which scientist has developed it? The name of scientist who has developed this system, it's called as Carolus Linnaeus. Okay, this is a scientist, Carolus Linnaeus, has started giving a name, a biological name to a living organism or a species. Okay, according to a Carolus Linnaeus, this scientist, he is giving actually a name to a living organism, but the name has two compartments. How many compartments are there? They have given a name, and that name has two components. As it has two components, I am showing you which two components are there, but it contains a two component. As it has two components, this kind of nomenclature system, it's called as binomial nomenclature. What it is called as? Binomial nomenclature. Why it is called as a binomial? Bi means two. But because here the Carolus Linnaeus has developed the system to giving a name, and the name which is given has how many components? Two components. As it has two components, this kind of a naming system is called as binomial nomenclature system. So who has developed this binomial nomenclature system? The Carolus Linnaeus. This is a scientist who has developed a naming system. Okay, what we call it as binomial nomenclature system. Okay. Now, as it has been told that, the name that is given to a living organism or a species has two components. So which are the two components? Okay, so the first component according to a rule, the first component of name is generic name, which can also be called as genus, a name of a genus. And second component is specific epithet. Okay, what you can also call it as species. Clear? How many components? It is a binomial nomenclature system. Means a name has two components. First component is a generic name. First component of a name is a generic name, or you can say a genus. And the second component is a specific epithet. You can also call it as species. Like I will explain you with an example. Okay, see, this is an example. The scientific name of mango. This is also called a scientific name. This is a common name. Local name, what we are calling as local name. Okay, cherry, mango, these are the local names. But if you go in a scientific name, the scientific name of this mango is Mangifera indica. This is the scientific name. Okay, so this is a whole name. Mangifera indica is a whole name. Clear? If you see this Mangifera indica, then there are two components. First is Mangifera, and the second component is indica. So this, what is a Mangifera? That is the first component. It is a generic name, or indica, it is a specific epithet. Generic name, that means you can also call it as genus. It's a name of genus, and this is a name of species. Clear? So that is the first rule. Any species that have been given a name according to a binomial nomenclature, the name consists of two components. The first component is the generic name or the genus. The second component is a specific epithet, or it's called as a name of a species. See here the words are the name of mango. Mango is called as Mangifera indica. So here the words have been chosen. Okay, and these words that should be from Latin language, or it is derived from a Latin language. Okay, so here I can see a second rule. What is the second rule? The second rule is that the name should be from Latin language. That means the word which we are selecting, Mangifera and the Indica, they should be from Latin language or derived from Latin words. Okay, it should be derived from Latin words. That means directly the words are from Latin language or some form of a name or the word have been chosen, but that word has been derived from the Latin word. Okay, this is a one rule. Okay, next thing is that the next rule on giving a name is that when this name has been typewritten like computerized, okay, when it is a typewritten, it should be typed in italics. It should be typed in italics. Italics means you might know that there are the slanting letters. Okay, so it should be typed in italics. But when it is handwritten, when the name is handwritten, then you cannot go for italics. So here the name should be underlined. Name should be underlined. As I have done the underlining, Mangifera and the Indica, the underlining. Okay, clear? If it is a typewritten, then the letter should be typed in italics. The letter should be typed in italics. If it is handwritten, then the letter should be underlined. Each name, each component of a name has to be underlined. You cannot do like this even. You cannot do like this. This is a wrong. Okay, the correct is this. Each component of a name is underlined. Not a straight line, just every component is underlined. Clear? You cannot do a whole lining under it. Okay, every component of a name is underlined separately. Okay, this is a rule. Okay, if it is a handwritten. Okay, so next, the third rule is that the first letter of genus, remember, first letter of genus, it should be capital letter. Okay, and the first letter of species, that is the second component, it is always a small letter. Remember, this is a rule. The first letter of a genus, this is a genus name. Okay, that first letter, it should be a capital. Okay, that M is capital. The first letter of a species, this is the first letter of a species, it should be a small. And all rest letters should be a small letter. Clear? This is a rule. The first letter, I cannot write like this. This is a wrong. Mangifera Indica. So here it is a capital. Here I is also, I have done the capital, but that is wrong. Here the first letter of a species should be small. The first letter of a genus should be capital, and all other letters should be small. And the name of genus and the name of species, that should be underlined separately. Okay, so this is a rule. Okay, next, now what happens after it? The next rule is that after a name of a species, that means a specific epithet, that is the name of author. Author means who has given a name. The name of author should be written in abbreviated form. Abbreviated means a short form. Abbreviated form. After the name of a species, this is a genus name, this is a species name. After the name of a species, there is a name of an author who has given the name, who has identified and gave a name. Okay, he can keep his name. Okay, but in which form? Abbreviated form. Okay, that is a short form. Okay, so here I can say that Mangifera indica, Linn, lean. Okay, this is a short form of Linus. It is a short form of a Linus, Carolus Linus, who has given its name. So this is a name of an author. It is a name of an author who gave it the name. So the author can also give its name after the name of a species, but in a short form or abbreviated form. So this is the rule. Okay, I again repeat, what are the rules for binomial nomenclature? This binomial nomenclature system that was developed by the Carolus Linus. According to this binomial nomenclature system, every living organism has a unique name, and that is not given to any other species which exist in the world or discovered in the world. As you know that it is a binomial nomenclature, means the name has two components. The first component is called as generic name. This is the first component. The second component is called as specific epithet, or it's a name of a species. Okay, like the name, scientific name of mango is Mangifera indica. In this Mangifera indica, the Mangifera is the name of genus or generic name. Indica is the name of specific epithet or species. Second, here the words which are chosen to give a name, either it should be from a Latin language or it should be derived from the Latin words. Okay, when this name has been written, typewritten, then it should be in italics. If it is a handwritten, then the words of genus and the species, they are underlined separately. Next, the first letter of genus always should be capital. The first letter of a species, it should be a small, and all the other letters, there should be other small letters. After the name of species, a name of author can be given, but the name of author should be given in the abbreviated form or the short form. This is the rules for binomial nomenclature system. Okay, so I hope so it is clear to everyone what are the rules for binomial nomenclature system. Okay, now there is one more thing. These are the rules which are given. Now there is one more thing I am writing over here. Sometime, you know that I will tell you first the name. The biological name of human being is, what is the biological name of human being? It is Homo sapiens. This is the biological name. You know that what is a Homo? Homo means it's a name of genus. Sapiens, it's a name of a species. But now if you talk about the name of modern human, we are currently modern human. Okay, so what is the name of this modern human? It is Homo. Sorry, remember here S also should be a small. Sapiens. Due to a lack of space, I am writing at the below. Homo sapiens sapiens. Okay, this is the name. Homo sapiens sapiens. If you see here, sapiens, it is a name of a species. But after the sapiens, I have written one more time. It is a sapiens. Some name is given. So this is not a name of author. It is a name of subspecies. And after that, there is a name of a author who has given its name. Okay, clear? So what it indicates, sometime after the name of a species, the name of subspecies. What it is? It's a name of subspecies has been given. This is a genus, this is a species, this is a name of subspecies has been given. Okay, but that occurs in a very rare condition. But still, I will explain you. This is the name of a subspecies. Okay, what is given to it. Okay, so these are the rules for giving a name according to a binomial nomenclature system, which was developed by Carolus Linus. Okay, so this is all about the nomenclature, binomial nomenclature. Okay, I hope so it is clear to everyone. Now, in the homework, you have to find the biological name of few living organisms. Biological name of you have to find the biological name of a wheat, W-H-E-A-T. I am only giving the examples which are given in the book. Wheat. Okay, you have to find the biological name of housefly. The biological name of human I have already given you. Okay, you can also find out the biological name of lion. Okay, biological name of tiger. Try to find out the biological name of this living organism. It has been already given in the book. So try to find out. Read the book and try to find out the name. Okay, clear? So this is, I will ask you this in assignment. Try to find out this name. Okay, next. So we have finished regarding the nomenclature, means giving a name according to a certain rules. But when we can give a name, okay, when we can give a name, we know the species exactly, we identify the species exactly, then and then we can give a name. Or we know the characteristics of that living organism, then and then we can give a name. So that means to give a name, we should identify the characteristic of a living organism. This is called as identification. And based on the identifications or the characters what the living organism has, based on these characters, the name has been given, the nomenclature is given. So what is an identification? Identification is the essential for nomenclature. You can say that it is essential. Identification is essential for nomenclature, because without knowing that living organism, you cannot give a name. You cannot give a name without identifying or without knowing its a feature. So what is an identification? Identification, that means knowing the characteristics of living organism. That means that is called as an identification. You know the characteristic of the living organism. What are the characteristics of that living organism? This is called as identification. Okay? And how many living species have been identified till date? How many living species means whose characters have been identified till date? You already know that 1.7 million to 1.8 million species in the world, which this living species have been identified, means we know its character and we have given its name, that is a nomenclature. Okay, has been given. Now we have to learn all the species in the biology. Then you might get shocked how we can learn the 1.7 to 1.8 million species in the biology within 2 years. It is very difficult. Practically you can say that it is impossible. बराबर છે એક માણસને ભણતા ભણતા આટલા વર્ષો લાગે છે બરાબર છે ક્લિયર how many species we have to learn 1.7 to 1.8 million it is impossible બરાબર છે clear even if you spend the whole life then also it is difficult to learn like if you see a doctor who is a doctor of a human being that is only one species બરાબર છે he has to learn the 5.5 years to be MBBS to know the something regarding the human being બરાબર છે એવી રીતે 1.7 to 1.8 million species ક્યારે ભણી લેવાય is it possible virtually or practically it is not possible so what we have done બરાબર even આટલા નામ બી યાદ ના રહે 1.7 million to 1.8 million names of biology or living organism how we can memorize how we can remember it that is again a question mark okay so what we have done we have divided these animals into a certain groups based on their common characteristics like for an example say I am a human being okay elephant is also a human being okay a dog is also a human being but if you find the common characteristic on all these three then we human elephant or you can say that the dog or you can say a whale. Okay, they have a common characteristic. What the common characteristic? They have mammary glands. Okay, the female or even both male and female, they have a mammary gland, and the mammary gland is a well developed in the female such organism. They also have a skin, and the skin has a hair. This is a common characteristic. So based on such common characteristic, we have divided or grouped the animals into a certain groups. Even I give you one more example. So amphibians, like frog. Frog is an amphibian. Okay, clear? I will give you a name of birds. Birds, what we call it as aves. There are lots of birds. Parrots, okay, pigeon, peacock, and many more. Many birds are present. They all have a common characteristic. They have an aerial life. They can fly and they have an aerial life. They have some sort of an aerial life. They can live in the sky. Okay, so based on certain common characteristic, we have divided into a groups, and this group in the scientific name we are calling it as taxa. Okay, this is called as a group, or you can also call it as class. Okay, this is called as taxa. In the scientific name, in the science, we group and the class we are calling as taxa. And this grouping or scientific study of that grouping, it's called as taxonomy. It's called as a taxonomy. So the Carolus Linus, he has done this. Carolus Linus has done this. He has divided this group on a scientific basis. He has framed a group on the scientific basis. So that's why the Carolus Linus is considered as father of taxonomy. Who is considered as father of taxonomy? Carolus Linus. He is considered as the father of taxonomy. Okay. Even this Carolus Linus also has write the name book. Okay, the name of his book is Systema Naturae. Okay, it is a Latin word. Remember, the name of the book is Systema Naturae. Okay, clear? So what is a systema? Systema means a systematic study, a plan, a systematic or scientific study, okay, of the living organism, that world. He has described all these three in his book Systema Naturae. So what is the meaning of systema? Systema is actually a Latin word. Systema means a systematic study or scientific study of a living organism or the group. Okay, this is called as there is one more branch of science, what we call it as systematics. What we are calling it as systematics. Clear? You should know these terms. At least you should know these terms. First is nomenclature. Nomenclature means giving a name to a living organism based on certain agreed principles and the rules. This is called as nomenclature. Second is identification. Identification, that means knowing the characteristics or the features of living organism. This is called as identification. Once we can identify, it is essential to identify the living organism, then and then you can give a name based on its characteristic. Okay, and you already know that how many species have been identified till date. 1.7 million to 1.8 million species have been identified till date. You already know that it is difficult to learn this much species on the whole life. So what we have done, we have divided the living organism into groups and the classes. In the science it's called as a taxa, and so this is called as taxonomy. Taxonomy, that means classifying the living organism in the groups or the classes or in the taxa based on its common characteristic. Like I have told you that birds have a common characteristic, that they have a aerial life. Okay, like the mammals, human, elephant, dog, whale, they are the mammals. They have a common characteristic, that they have a mammary gland, they have a skin, their body is covered by a skin, and on the skin they have a hair. Okay, this is the characteristic. So what is a taxonomy? Taxonomy, that means a grouping the living organism based on the common characteristic. This is called as a taxonomy. And last is systematic. What is a systematics? Systemic or scientific study of a living organism. This is called as systematics. Okay. Here I have already told you that the living organism can be classified into a different groups and the classes. Okay. So which are the different groups and the classes? that we will learn in the next session. So ultimately you have to learn this 5 definition: nomenclature, identification, taxonomy, systematic, and what is a taxa. Okay, that you should know it. Okay, so that's all about it. Students, whatever we have learned, keep learning, keep watching, like and subscribe this channel. Thank you for watching.